a public service announcement.
Yeah! It's the Go Show. That's Tias.
And that's Sasha.
And we are live on Idobi Radio. New music unfiltered. So this year is an election year. We're going to vote on the President of the United States of America. And every year, every 4 years, we vote. That's how it goes. And we're hoping that's how it continues to go. We have one candidate whose name is Donald Trump. He was the president 8 years ago. He was awful, objectively speaking. And that is our opinions. It does not reflect the station. It does not reflect anything else. But you will hear some rough opinions on Donald Trump, right?
100%. 100%. That Joe Biden is dropping out of the presidential race. And we think the front runner is probably Kamala Harris. We're going to break down, we're going to give you the views and the track records of Kamala Harris and Donald J. Trump, more than likely the candidates for president of this 2024 election.
As it stands.
As right now, as of right this second.
Right this second, that's where we are. The Democratic convention is about a month away, so we're waiting to see what happens at the DNC, if Kamala will be indeed the nominee or somebody else. But we're going to act today as if it's Kamala because she is our vice president. So we're going to talk about where she lies with that, and also we're just going to kind of go over where the government has been landing with weed in the last couple years or so. So we will start with Kamala.
Yeah, let's start with Kamala Harris. It's gaining momentum. It's a couple of days with her bid for president. I think people initially were confused, but I believe Kamala is building some excitement, a little bit of excitement. Well, where does Kamala stand on cannabis? Right now, Kamala seems to be on board with Joe Biden's plan to reschedule cannabis. We could talk about her past as a DA, prosecutor in San Francisco, where she was pretty much anti-cannabis. When you look at, you look at the numbers, and there were over 1,000 cases that were tried due to cannabis. Most of them were
almost 2,000.
Almost 2,000 cases were not really were for more minor possession, if that's correct. So there were some that were probably just slap on the wrist kind of thing in the Bay Area.
Yeah, not a lot of people were put in jail.
Not a lot of people were put in jail. So let's not get it really misconstrued. But she did have her attitude at that time and her position at that time. Kamala Harris seemed anti-cannabis.
Oh, yeah. She kind of didn't have a choice. It's difficult when you're basically a cop and you're given the law.
You have to abide by the law, and that's what she did. Also, she did not really support medical cannabis in the beginning either. Not a lot of politicians did.
Which sounds like crazy to think about.
Totally.
Right now.
Totally. Her views have evolved. It seems like Kamala Harris is on board for legalization of cannabis. Rescheduling, of course, that is making its way through legislation in Congress and the Senate right now, and the DEA ultimately has the final word on that. I believe Kamala is supporting this movement to reschedule as we speak right now.
It's tough. It's tough when you're kind of laying down the law. That's your job to do that, and weed illegal for a really long time until it wasn't, especially out here. So I'm sure there was some moments of doing what was asked of her, but she really, as of late, the last few years, she supported the Safe Banking Act, the MORE Act, all those acts that were almost put forth to reform weed laws. She was down, and we had hoped, and we did give her the business for a few years. We had hoped there would be a little bit more, especially because she was the district attorney. So I was like hoping that, like, because she was so familiar with the law and whatnot, that she would really make a big deal about expungement or criminal reform when it comes to weed. And she didn't. But I'm not there. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's happening. And clearly there's a lot of things happening over there in the DC. So I think we were rough on her, and you can listen to the past episodes. We definitely were wondering what was going on. Why weren't we seeing anything? And then she did come out earlier this year, or recently, and was like, nobody should be in jail for cannabis. When they announced they were rescheduling, the government did, when they announced it, Kamala was the one to kind of deliver that news.
Yeah, she was carrying the flag. After years as a prosecutor, you could kind of see how it would probably affect you if you could see the outcome of somebody that's being punished for a plant and the detriment that it has done to the world. And people are allowed to evolve, and
Sure, you could change. I mean, Joe Biden had a bunch of things
for sure, yeah,
he did that I didn't love. So people can obviously change and make mistakes and learn from their mistakes. So I do think that Kamala has that under her belt. She saw that was the wrong way to deal with weed, and now is stepping towards reform. So I have to assume this would be part of her platform is the weed stuff. I mean, Fat Joe went to the White House and everything.
an unlikely duo of Kamala Harris,
Yeah.
Fat Joe the gangsta. And wasn't there another politician involved? There was a round table, but I thought it was was it the governor of Kentucky?
Yeah, I don't remember, but yeah, it was some lawmakers and Fat Joe that really put together this reform. Which is interesting. Yeah, she's public about it. She said she was on like the Breakfast Club, and she said she smoked weed in college or whatever. So she's down, which is good. That's good to have. Because when Joe was running initially, I think he was like, "Rah," like he. When people asked him, like he just said he had nothing to say about it, and we knew that because it was just not. Listen, we know that there's other things going on in the world and
for sure,
the country at that time as well. It was crazy. So I understand why weed isn't top of mind for politicians right now. However, I think it would be a great place to start, kind of building a positive foundation in this country. I think weed would be a really great start. So maybe, some fresh eyes in there, somebody who from the get is already into the whole weed idea. Maybe that'll be good for the movement.
Well, yeah, I mean, we definitely need some new blood, some fresh ideas, and some fresh thinking in the White House. That is clear to me.
Yeah.
That they need to open up all the windows, air out all the stank, and start thinking, breathing in cannabis.
Well, I mean, we don't even have a nominee yet, so I think you're. Did you just smoke DMT? Like, why are you?
It is possible. Maybe I got one of those DMT gummies that Fish was texting about us earlier. I'm like hell no.
No.
Yeah.
No, I like your positivity. I do. But and I don't know. I don't know what I do know is we need to vote. Everybody needs to vote. God, it's very important to vote. Things are uncertain. They look weird, but we do know that we have the Republican nominee. And God, I don't even. Oh, well, we're going to talk about that, right? What Trump.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So what we think and what we know is the country under Trump is rough. It looks rough. I don't know how weed fits in there at that point, but to at least have one of the potential nominees be on board from the get is great. Now, is she new blood, quote unquote? No, because she's been there for 4 years. However, I think this is a really great opportunity to. I think I gotta say I am a little stoked on having like a woman of color to run for the president, to have like donors behind her, and to maybe have like a real shot at this. I think that that's like really neat. And if she can be, because we know how the war on weed and drugs has disproportionately affected people of color so badly, if she could be the one to usher in the change, that'd be sick. Like that
That
would be
would
sick.
be huge. That would be
Like I would be so
so
happy.
amazing.
That'd be sick. So while it wouldn't be new blood, it would, I think she would have a lot of people who kind of were coming up. Like, remember when we were people in 2020, like when everybody was running for president, like literally, like there was like 45 nominees on like both sides. I think all those people who didn't make the cut are going to, well, I hope, maybe help Kamala through this crazy time, because running for president is hard, and it's not just running for something. It is a crazy job. So she's got the energy. I'm hoping to all the things that are holy, they let her like kind of breathe. And if she really is at this place with weed, then I hope they just let her take that off your fucking list of things to do. Like just cross that off of your to-do list. Reschedule cannabis. You know what? While you're at it, just take it off all of the schedules. You might as well just erase it. Yeah, we just want to hear your stance on weed. We don't care if you smoked it or not. I mean, it's cool if you did, because then you know what you're fighting for. But if
We just need to know where you stand and when you're going to sign the papers and make the changes.
I don't think it's hyperbole. And listen, this is our opinions. I don't think it's hyperbole to say that things seem very unstable if we do have a Trump presidency, especially for weed. I don't think that women's rights, marriage rights, gender equality, all that stuff is going to go out the window, but weed will stay. So you never know, but I think that we will go with the rights of us all,
with
and
everything else.
Yeah, and this moral majority thing, who have always been against weed because it is a racist, antiquated. They came up with the whole thing. So I would say that it is an important election for all of the things, but I would also say that weed is one of those things. And it looks like we are good to go with Kamala, at least in the rescheduling phase of things, right?
Rescheduling could potentially happen before she takes the White House.
Ooh, look at you manifesting.
It was that DMT gummy I ate earlier. So
yes, open up your door, open up your windows, White House. Taking the it's the eye that's on the dollar sign.
Shit. At the top of my pyramid. Ate a little acid, ate a little mushrooms.
Yeah, we could all be tripping balls in the White House. Doesn't that sound great?
It does. Do they have a pool?
You have a fountain, I think. We could just anything is a pool.
Any water can be a pool if you jump into it.
It's hard one. Okay, on that note, we're going to take a break. So yeah, we just wanted to give you the little update on Kamala and where we think at this moment, Tito, where things are going to go. We don't know from day to day. It is kind of like up to the minute stuff. So stick with us if you want to hear the news and the opinions on the news. Just keep your fingers crossed we get us a Kamala or somebody who believes in weed from the ground floor. Coming up. If you don't want to hear us like be a little snarky and complainy about former presidents, just, if you want to make yourself some munchies, go do that now. So we'll be right back right now. And we've been doing this show since right before Donald J. Trump took office. So it was around 2015,
16. Coincidentally, cannabis became legal for adult use in California in 2016, and Donald J. Trump was elected to office the same year.
I correlate the two. I don't know why. I
it was
couldn't even, and it was such a nightmare when California went legal anyway. Yeah,
we didn't know. We didn't know. We speculated that the cannabis would be a nightmare, and we sort of had a hint that Donald J. Trump would be a nightmare too, but we didn't know the the gravity of the situation with either of those issues.
We knew it was going to be enough for us to like do a podcast about, like that is something that we knew somehow. We were like, we're gonna need to talk about this. The world needs to hear. Pandemic years, which was when Donald Trump was president, and it was when legalization had already been in effect for a few years out here in California. And I was like, first like remote shows. I was like, like we were figuring how to do it live from home. So like I was looking back at those times, and it's interesting because, as a country, it was the pandemic aside, having Donald Trump as president it was a rough go of it, man.
That was
just
like
from these two nerds' experience.
We were metaphorically taking it in every hole with Donald Trump in office and COVID happening at the same time.
Yeah, it was. I remember when. Oh God, I remember all the things. I remember when the inauguration happened. The one where nobody stormed the Capitol the year before Donald Trump's inauguration, and it was
nobody showed up to see him take office, but nobody showed up to make sure he didn't take office.
Yes, exactly. Democracy was intact, and Obama flew away, and we all cried. We all knew that it was going to be an interesting time. I just remember being at the dispensary next day, and we were like, everybody was, because
we'd all been like crying and drinking heavily.
Yes, and we didn't know what that meant for weed. We didn't know if it was going to affect us in the weed way. We just knew all the other ways, and it turned out to be like worse. But that, all that aside, we're going
to we're going to focus on the cannabis policies and the drug policies, track record and views and opinions of Donald J. Trump right now.
I just read the first name. Do you remember Jeff Sessions?
Oh yeah. Jeffrey Sessions. Okay. Let me just
trigger warning. That was a gag.
Okay, so before Donald Trump was elected, he was all over the place with his drug policies. He went from, in the 90s, before he was even probably thinking of running for president in the 2000s, he said all drugs should be legalized and taxed, which seems like a fairly woke idea.
Yeah, he also donated to Kamala Harris's campaign a whole bunch. So
like I said, he's all over the place. All these liberal ideas.
And I'm sure he was pro-choice.
And then at one point, Donald Trump during his campaign said that drug dealers should face the death penalty. So that goes to the full other side of the spectrum. catering to those other extreme people. Who does Donald Trump appoint immediately is
The Attorney
Jeffrey
General.
Sessions.
John Spicer was the press secretary.
Was the press secretary at the time.
I believe
What
he
a
was in,
weenie. What
yeah,
a weenie. I'm getting my
for sure
weenies
weenie.
confused.
He was on Traitors, that reality show, Traitors. I think he was on Traitors. It was weird. It was weird because I was like, man, when I saw your face on my TV, it made me so angry and viscerally upset. But on a reality show, on a reality show where he's like doing stupid like obstacle courses, like makes total sense. I can totally see that. But yes, he
Oh
had
my God.
Jeffrey Sessions, who was an attorney general, and he certainly was not. He was not pro weed. Jeffrey Sessions,
not at all. Almost immediately, Attorney General Jeffrey Sessions rescinded 3 Obama-era memos that were adopted as policy, basically saying that the states can do what they want. The Fed is not going to use any money to interfere with state business, which is generally what the GOP wants. But Donald Trump immediately had those Obama era memos, rescinded.
Yeah. For
one reason or another. So Donald Trump's not getting a very good scorecard with the cannabis voters so far.
But it's weird because and I had said this during his presidency, I thought for sure he was going to be the one to either reschedule it or end prohibition. Because remember, it's true. It even says 1 year, they asked if he would sign it. And I remember he was like, yeah, man, I might. He was, saying he probably would sign the stupid act. And I feel, and like you said, at one point he said we should tax all drugs, which obviously would be the reason why he would, not for any sort of moral,
no, just for monies, just straight monies.
Sure. Whatever the avenue is. I wish we would have gotten there. But yeah, he did say, even though the Jeff Sessions did all those things to make it difficult, I do feel like in my heart of hearts that he would have been down with weed at some point. If you go back to past shows, you say this. It's during the Trump administration, and I'm like, really? He could have been the one, but he's all over the place. He only worked 2 hours a day in between rounds of golf. I think weed was also one of those things. It's just like it is for everybody else. It's on the bottom of their to-do list. And I think even Donald Trump during his administration before COVID, he also didn't know. And again, with the states stuff, I think that would have been, I don't know. I do, bless you. I do wonder if he would have had his way, if he would have just wiped it and said, now I don't think expungement or anything like that. I don't think any social equity things. I don't think he cared about literally any of that. So
he was just
look forward to any of that.
Donald Trump was just thinking about, taxing heroin coming in. He was Trump brand heroin was going to start on, right, would be on the streets, and he was going to make 25% tax off of that.
Yeah. Where did he kind of land in his stupid presidency? I mean, the states just kind of went on.
Well, yeah, business was usual for the states. Yeah. In 2018, Trump said that he would probably support the States Act, which would end federal prohibition, but that never happened.
There were rumors because of Jeff Sessions and his ways that a lot of things would be difficult.
Yeah, you put these people into positions for a reason. You didn't, Donald Trump didn't put Jeffrey Sessions into place. Well, okay. I don't know if I could get into the mind of Donald Trump right now, but
Please don't.
he put Jeff Sessions in, who was like totally anti-cannabis and
Yeah.
sort of anti-states' rights, and he wanted to roll back all of the progress that we had made at that point. So maybe you could have had a meeting with Jeff Sessions and said, "Oh no, this is not what I want," but instead, Donald Trump is golfing, and
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
family was making money other ways, and he didn't really give a fuck about cannabis.
No. I think at the end of it all, his 2021 fiscal budget proposal, which he probably doesn't even know what those words mean, he removed protections for state medical marijuana laws. I mean, he did all. There was like a point where he just was doing shit. Like he just would do shit. He'd sign some. Remember the executive orders? Like there were so fucking many of them, and we did get some strays for sure. Like it was more so like, oh god, it was bad news. But we really did catch some strays, and this was one of them. It was, but I also think like again, I don't think he actively cares. Jeff Sessions did care. And so I don't think these are necessarily his policies. They're just the people who he fucking
put gave jobs to.
Right. Or that. Yes, gave jobs to. That one is better to say.
What a fucking shit show. With all of that being said, if you love cannabis, you love having safe access, you want records expunged, you want to right the wrongs of the war on drugs, the war against cannabis, Donald Trump's probably not your guy.
Right. I think that's a safe.
I know I'm really going out on a limb.
No, I think that's safe. I think that's a safe bet. I do think that you're right. I don't know.
But
you can't put the cat back in the bag. I mean, we're already where we are.
No.
I don't know if he gets into office. God forbids he gets into office. I don't know that he's like, my first order of business is to revoke fucking cannabis rights, women's rights, probably, but cannabis rights. But again, if it's up to the states, we also do that with abortions, and that fucking sucks. So maybe that's not the best option. I know that cannabis seems like, because of how it's been operating, it does kind of like look like states, leaving it up to the states makes sense, right? It's like, oh yeah, California's a great state, Colorado's a great state, but also if you live in Kentucky, I just use Kentucky, and it wasn't legal, and you need weed for medicine, you have to move to one of those states. Bad. Also banking, bad. Also federally illegal, can be prosecuted federally, bad. So I wonder I wonder because of the mess of it all too, with states and cannabis. It's so much messier. You cannot tax it federally. So I just feel like he's going to look at the money that weed makes at the states and be like, damn, that's a lot of cheddar. And that's without any sort of provisions either. Like I could just see him messily being like, it's legal now. And then I could see him really, I mean, I don't know. I see us living in a really rough state. So I could see the drug dealers. I don't know, man. Like,
so like
every state run cannabis. Is what
in
I
this
see.
dystopian society that you've just speculated on, and how does and suddenly cannabis is legal under Donald Trump's dictatorship? How does that fit in with Project 2025? I don't think they have a plan for safe access of cannabis. I'm pretty sure it's not in that manifesto.
But the other thing is, though, is it might be, but it might be in a shady way, like Ron DeSantis, like that fucking clown shoes. Like we have an episode where we take a deep dive into Ron DeSantis's cannabis doings. And he, on the sly, on the low, has money on the farm, literally. And in public, he's like, weed is the devil's lettuce. So publicly, he's anti, but we know that some of his monies come from or go to cannabis operated or farms that have cannabis growing there. So like, I don't know. I feel like like all these stupid GOPs, which I guess we could give a quick update on that, who are so anti, which a whole thing came out, a whole proposed something or other saying weed should be like condemned. I don't even know what the fuck it said. It was stupid is what it was. And like I could half see like them still existing, the people who created that bill that we're about to update you on, but I could also half see Donald Trump being like, forget it, like just make it legal. That way he can also like fully arrest people who deal drugs. I think it makes it easier for him to like put us in a police state.
Absolutely.
I don't know.
It's
It
all
may
about
sound
the
crazy.
control. It's all about the control.
I don't know. Do I sound paranoid? Do I sound like I'm doing DMT?
No. I'm wearing tinfoil underwear right now, just in case.
Yeah, I have tinfoil in places. I don't know what I want. You know what I mean? I just know that Donald Trump's not going to give it to me.
This is not really the answer. In these nerds' opinion, Donald Trump is not the man who's going to be friendly to your cannabis needs and your safe access to cannabis.
No. No. Not no. No. All of the scenarios in my head are scared me. But you will hear us talk about this more.